The late shift, data entry, the kind of job that bleeds the color out of your day. But the bus ride home, that was mine. Me. Quiet. My stop is the last one. A lonely loop through an industrial park. Then, the depot. But one Tuesday night, something was wrong. The bus was too empty. Just me. And him. The driver. An hour passed. Or maybe more. Time felt thick. I looked out the window. The buildings were wrong. Unfamiliar. Crumbling. Skeletons in the dark. "Excuse me," I said. My voice was too loud in the silence. "I think you missed my turn." He didn't answer. I just stared. His hands gripped the wheel, so tight his knuckles were bone white. I stood up. The floor felt unsteady. "Driver, are you okay?" That's when I saw it. His reflection. In the rearview mirror. His eyes. They weren't just wide. They were holes. Pits of terror. And his lips. They were moving. But no sound. Just a silent, desperate shape. Over and over. Not again. Not again. The bus groaned. Slowed. Pulled over to a curb that didn't exist under a street lamp that flickered. Like a dying heartbeat. The doors hissed open. And she was there. Waiting. Dressed in clothes from a lifetime ago. A 1940s coat. At her face. A pale, gaunt mask. She stepped onto the bus. Her shoes made no sound. None at all. She glided past me. And the air. It turned to ice. A deep, biting cold that sank into my bones. She sat, few rows back, and just stared. Out the window. Nothing. The driver was a statue. A monument to fear. I sat back down. My heart wasn't hammering. It was trying to break my ribs. We drove. 10 minutes. An hour. I don't know. Just silence. Then the bus stopped again. She stood. She walked to the open doors. She stepped out onto the empty street. And the moment her feet touched the pavement, she was gone. Finn, the driver. He made a sound. Choked, wet gasp. He slumped over the wheel. Then he turned to me. His face was the color of ash. He whispered. A dry, rustling sound. "Did you see her?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded. "She rides this bus," he breathed. His voice shaking so hard the words almost broke. "Once a month. She died here. 50 years ago. She gets on. She gets off. We're not supposed to stop. We are never supposed to stop." He looked at me. And the terror in his eyes was gone. Replaced with something else. Something worse. Final hollow dread. "But you saw her get on. That means..." He let the words hang in the dead air of the bus. "You're on her route now." Story 2. The Tenant in 4B. Voice should start calm, professional, almost like a documentary narrator, then slowly become more unsettled and haunted. I manage a small old apartment building. It's quiet. The tenants, they keep to themselves. Mostly. But there was one exception. Apartment 4B. It had a reputation. Tenants didn't stay. They'd move in full of hope. A few months later, they'd be gone. Fleeing in the middle of the night. Never a reason. Then came Sarah. An artist. Young. Bright. She loved the windows in 4B. Perfect for a studio, she said. I warned her. I told her about the others. She just laughed. Said she wasn't superstitious. The first month was fine. Quiet. Then the complaints started. Not from Sarah. From the neighbors. They heard crying. From her apartment. All hours. But when they'd knock, Sarah would answer. Perfectly fine. A little confused. I haven't been crying, she'd say. A week later she came to my office. The light in her eyes was gone. She looked hollowed out. I think there's something wrong with my apartment, she said. Her voice was a thin thread. My paintings. They keep changing. Thought it was stress. An artist's imagination. But she showed me her phone. A landscape she'd painted. vibrant, full of life. Now in the corner, a figure, a dark, shadowy thing that hadn't been there before. A portrait of herself. Now had a single dark tear weeping down the canvas cheek. Got worse. So much worse. The phone call came late one night. Her voice. It wasn't a voice. It was a shriek, pulled raw from her throat. It's in the walls. Oh God, it's in the walls. I hear whispering. It knows my name. It knows my name. By the time I got to her floor, she was gone. The door to 4B was wide open. Black mouth. Inside. Destruction. But not from a person. From the art itself. Her canvases were slashed, ripped open, like wounds. The paint had wept down the walls in long, dark, sticky streaks. And in the center of the room, her largest piece. A beautiful abstract. It was black. Completely, utterly black. But in the center of that blackness, a word, scratched out, from the inside. Mine. Sarah never came back. For her things. For anything. We had the apartment cleaned. Blessed. It didn't matter. The next tenant. A grad student. Skeptic. He lasted 3 weeks. He left one night. Single bag. He left the key on the counter. And a note on the fridge. The note had one sentence, scrawled in the same rough, desperate letters as the word on the canvas. He wants a new audience.